Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into remarkable stories, unearth surprising truths, and bring you those aha moments that genuinely expand your understanding. Today, I want you to imagine a chaotic scene. A Spanish raid erupts on a Caribbean port, smoke fills the air, cries ring out, and from this maelstrom, an unexpected figure emerges. Not a grizzled soldier or a seasoned captain, but a physician. A healer who suddenly finds himself driven by a complex, almost twisted sense of justice. What truly makes a man, sworn to save lives, transform into a formidable outlaw, and then, against all odds, a leader.
It's a question that cuts right to the very core of human character, isn't it? The sheer irresistible force of circumstance shaping a person's destiny in ways they could never have possibly foreseen or desired.
Right.
It challenges our assumptions about what defines us.
It absolutely does. And today, we're unearthing the extraordinary saga of Peter Blood. This isn't just a tale of high seas adventure and swashbuckling. It's a profound exploration of systemic injustice, the sheer will to survive against impossible odds, and the complex, often morally ambiguous nature of personal honor. You've given us the rich tapestry of Raphael Sabatini's Captain Blood, and our mission, our deep dive, is to extract the most compelling insights from his incredible odyssey.
Precisely. We'll follow Blood from his beginnings as an Irish physician, a man wrongly accused of treason and condemned. We'll trace his journey through the brutal horrors of slavery in the Caribbean, witnessing his incredible transformation into a feared pirate captain, a figure with a surprising, almost contradictory code of conduct. And finally, we'll delve into his unexpected path towards redemption and, against every expectation, legitimate leadership.
We're really going to examine how a man's entire identity can be forged anew, not just by choice, but by the crucible of his circumstances. We'll delve into the profound moral ambiguities of justice, or maybe more accurately, the devastating impact of injustice, the incredible strength of personal honor when everything else is stripped away, and those utterly unpredictable turns of fate that can elevate an outcast, a condemned man, to a governor. So let's unpack this incredible story. Let's start with the man himself, Dr. Peter Blood. Sabatini paints such a vivid picture of him right from the start. He's described as tall and spare, swarthy of tint as a gypsy, with eyes that were startlingly blue.
Yeah, that contrast is striking, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
That striking contrast in his appearance, almost exotic, seems to foreshadow the complex, contradictory figure he's about to become, don't you think? And his voice, it's not just pleasant and vibrant, but it carries a metallic ring, softened by an Irish accent, capable of both wooing and commanding. It's almost as if his entire nature, this blend of strength and charm, is encapsulated in that voice.
It's a masterful description, and what's particularly fascinating is that this isn't his first foray into a life of, high stakes. Before he truly settled into medicine, Blood had already lived a life packed with adventure.
Right.
We learn he spent a third of his life in the Netherlands, serving under the famous Dutch Admiral de Ruyter, even fighting in the Mediterranean engagement, where de Ruyter tragically lost his life.
Wow.
He then endured 2 years in a Spanish prison, though the how and why remained largely a mystery, kind of adding to his enigmatic past. And after his release, he found himself serving with the French against the Spanish Netherlands.
So he truly had his fill of wandering and adventuring, as Sabatini puts it. By the time we meet him at the outset of the story, he's consciously choosing a different path. He's actively trying to shed that adventurous skin, to embrace a life of peace and healing.
Exactly. He wants to be a man of medicine and not of war. A healer, not a slayer. It's a deliberate step away from conflict. A conscious turning point where he hopes to put his turbulent past behind him and return to his original calling.
And that desire for detachment, for a quiet life, is really put to the test almost immediately. What makes his story so compelling is that despite his conscious choice to retreat from the world of war, fate has a way of pulling him back in. This is particularly evident with his initial indifference to the Monmouth Rebellion. Blood, with his worldly experience, was, frankly, quite cynical about it. He knew far too much about the Duke of Monmouth's grotesque pretension to the throne, understanding its shaky foundations.
He really did. He found the entire rebellion to be a wicked frenzy upon their ruin, viewing the rebels, often simple folk, as West Country clods seduced into a hopeless, ill-conceived cause.
Right.
His reaction, tellingly, was a mix of a laugh and a sigh. But the laugh dominated the sigh, for Mr. Blood was unsympathetic, as are most self-sufficient men.
That self-sufficiency. Forged by a past filled with adversity and difficult choices, it made him quite unsentimental about the plight of these misguided commoners, believing they brought their troubles upon themselves. He wanted no part of it. Hashtag 1.2, the fateful night and unjust arrest.
And it's precisely that carefully constructed detachment that begins to crumble, as fate, with its usual irony, pulls him directly into the conflict he so assiduously avoided. The fateful night of his arrest begins innocently enough.
How so?
Well, he'd been driven by foul weather into Brutewater Bay. His health, we're told, had worsened during the voyage, and he decided to take refuge ashore. Deeming the impending battle no affair of his, he went to bed early, aiming for a peaceful night away from the turmoil.
But duty calls, doesn't it? Even for a detached physician who prefers to remain neutral. An urgent summons arrives for him to treat Lord Gildoy, a wounded rebel gentleman at Oglethorpe's farm.
Yeah, and Blood's motivation here is purely medical. My business, my lord, was with his wounds, not with his politics. He's simply responding to a call for help, a fundamental testament to his ingrained nature as a healer, regardless of the patient's affiliations or the political storm raging outside.
It highlights that core identity that he cannot and will not abandon.
And that ingrained compassion quickly brings him face to face with Captain Hobart and Kirk's dragoons, instruments of the king's brutal justice. Hobart is a truly brutal man, and upon discovering Gildoy, whom he immediately labels a damned rebel, he orders his men to drag him out.
But Blood steps in.
He does, defiantly stating, "In the name of humanity, sir, this is England, not Tangiers." It's a stark rebuke to Hobart's barbarity, drawing a line in the sand. He challenges Hobart, even calling him a hangman, stressing Gildoy's fundamental right to trial by his peers.
Wow.
It's a powerful moment of a lone physician, unarmed, standing up to military might, driven by a deep-seated belief in human decency.
It's an incredible display of moral courage. And then, in a flash of quick thinking, he attempts to save Jeremy Pitt, a young shipmaster who, ironically, becomes an agent of Blood's subsequent misfortunes.
Oh, yeah, irony.
Blood fabricates a story, falsely claiming Pitt is Viscount Pitt, first cousin to Sir Thomas Vernon, who's married to that slut Moll Kirk, sister to your own colonel.
A risky bluff.
Very. This temporarily intimidates Hobart, giving them a brief reprieve, but ultimately backfires spectacularly, leading directly to Blood's own arrest for obstructing justice and aiding rebels.
It's a classic case of good intentions having disastrous, unforeseen consequences. His quick thinking, meant to protect another, ensnares him. We then see him on the dreadful march to Taunton, chained to Jeremy Pitt, enduring the same suffering as melancholy droves of prisoners.
Awful.
Here's a man who wanted nothing to do with the rebellion, yet now he's a captive, stripped of his dignity. His attempts to relieve suffering among his fellow prisoners are met with threats, further underscoring the cruelty of his captors.
Unbelievable.
It's at this point, incredibly, that Sabatini tells us he reflects. If he had one regret now, it was that he had not been out with Monmouth. That, of course, was illogical, but you can hardly expect logic from a man in his position.
Wow. The sheer injustice he's experiencing is so profound it twists his entire perspective, making him wish he'd fought for a cause he initially despised, simply to justify his suffering. Hashtag 1.3. The bloody assizes, a mockery of justice. And that profound injustice culminates in one of the most infamous episodes of English legal history, the bloody assizes. Here we meet Lord Chief Justice Jeffreys, the hanging judge, a figure almost grotesque in his villainy.
Ugh, Jeffreys.
Yeah.
Sabatini describes him as a man suffering from an agonizing malady and leading a debauched life. His very presence, his features twisted by pain, foretold the grim fate of the accused. His court wasn't a place of justice, but a stage for terror.
Indeed, the atmosphere was one of calculated intimidation. The charges against Peter Blood are laid out in flowery, terrifying, almost theatrical language. A false traitor, having no fear of God in his heart, but being moved and seduced by the instigation of the devil.
It's an indictment designed to dehumanize and condemn, stripping him of any shred of legitimacy before the trial even truly begins.
Yet, despite this intimidating atmosphere and Jeffrey's bullying, Blood stands boldly forward, erect, self-possessed, and saturnine. His dignity in the face of such monstrous injustice is striking.
It really is.
He calmly states his defense, that he is a physician, a graduate of Trinity College, Dublin, merely treating wounds, upholding his oath, not condoning politics. This simple, factual defense, offered with such quiet strength, garners a murmur from the galleries and even from the jury, a rare moment of public sympathy for the accused in Jeffrey's court.
A small glimmer.
Yeah, it speaks volumes about the man's inherent character, even under duress.
But that flicker of sympathy is brutally extinguished. Jeffreys, driven by his own pain and malice, unleashes an intemperate, the blasphemous, and almost obscene invective, coercing the jury to an inevitable guilty verdict.
Get in there.
And in the deathly stillness of the court, just as the verdict is delivered, Blood lets out an uncannily jarring laugh.
A laugh, really.
Yes. It's an extraordinary, bitter response to this grotesque mockery of justice. It's the laugh of a man seeing the utter absurdity and profound injustice of the system laid bare, a psychological breaking point that paradoxically forges an unbreakable resolve. It's the final nail in the coffin of his old identity and the first breath of the new.
That chilling laugh really marks a turning point, doesn't it? It's a moment of utter defiance and despair. But what's truly almost monstrously chilling is the twisted clemency that follows. The death sentence is commuted not out of any genuine mercy, but pure practicality.
Right. Economics, basically.
Exactly. King James, whose heart was as insensible as marble, realized that wholesale hangings were a reckless waste of valuable material. Healthy, vigorous men were urgently required in the plantations in the Caribbean, valued at from 10 to 15 pounds as slaves.
Human merchandise.
Precisely. This was a cheap and ready way to discharge these claims for courtiers who profited from the slave trade. Sabatini calls it a clemency full worthy of him to convert them into living deaths. So Peter Blood, the self-sufficient physician, is now reduced to human merchandise.
The journey to Barbados on the Jamaica Merchant, captained by Gardner, is a brutal introduction to this new reality for Blood and his fellow convicts. These were men, women, and children packed onto ships like cargo, dehumanized and reduced to chattel.
Just horrific conditions.
Absolutely. Blood's initial insistence on treating the sick aboard the overcrowded ship is met with oaths and threats from Captain Gardner, who initially views his concern for the dying as an inconvenience.
Of course.
But Gardner soon realizes the financial loss from 2 heavy losses of human merchandise and reluctantly allows Blood to work.
And what does Blood do? His zealous work, his ministrations, checked the spread of the disease, saving many of his fellow captives. Even as a prisoner, stripped of his freedom and identity, his core identity as a healer shines through, demonstrating his unwavering commitment to his oath.
It's an act of quiet defiance, upholding his principles even in the most inhumane conditions.
Indeed. Upon their arrival in Carlisle Bay, the convicts glimpse a town of imposing European architecture, a stark, almost cruel contrast to their fate. They are paraded on the mole, publicly inspected by Governor Steed and Colonel Bishop.
The auction block.
Yes. It's a dehumanizing spectacle, a loathsome haggle over human lives where individuals are appraised like livestock. Peter Blood, a man of education, skill, and inherent dignity, is sold to Colonel Bishop for the ignominious sum of 10 pounds, a bag of bones in Bishop's eyes.
10 pounds. Incredible.
It.
It's a profound fall from grace, a total stripping of status.
But there's a surprising twist, almost a moment of grace in this dehumanizing transaction. It's Colonel Bishop's niece, Arabella Bishop, who, we're told, tapped his arm with her whip and insisted, "But this is the man I meant."
Ah, Arabella enters the picture.
Right. Her intervention, whether out of genuine pity, a spark of curiosity about his defiant demeanor, or perhaps even a subtle fascination, directly influenced his sale to her uncle. It's a small act that, unknown to them at the time, would profoundly shape both their destinies. Hashtag tag 2.2, a physician's value and a lady's pity.
And very quickly, Blood's medical skills become not just apparent, but invaluable, even for his captors. Governor Steed, a man of influence suffering from gout, borrowed Blood, finding relief where other Bridgetown physicians had failed.
So his skills were immediately recognized.
Oh, yes. The governor's lady also sought his help for her megrims, which Blood, with his characteristic cynicism, diagnosed as mere peevishness. His fame spreads like wildfire among the colonial elite.
Which must have been noticed by Bishop.
Exactly.
Right.
Leading Colonel Bishop to realize there was more profit to be made out of this new slave by leaving him to pursue his profession than by setting him to work on the plantations. His talent, once again, saves him from the harshest labor, but also exploits him, making him a prized possession rather than a free man.
Yet, despite his comparatively easy and clean condition, compared to his fellow convicts toiling in the brutal, soul-crushing sugar plantations, Blood feels utterly trapped. This idea of a prison without walls is so potent, isn't it?
It really is.
Here he is, physically freer perhaps than his fellow slaves, but more deeply imprisoned in his mind. He bitterly reflects on Lovelace's famous lines, "Stone walls do not a prison make, nor iron bars a cage," but gives it a fresh meaning. He realizes a prison, he reflected, was a prison, though it had neither walls nor bars, however spacious it might be.
It speaks to the insidious nature of systemic injustice. His external conditions might have improved, but his autonomy, his very selfhood, has been stripped away. It's not the visible chains that bind him most, but the invisible ones of lost status, reputation, and control over his own destiny.
Yeah.
It's a deep psychological torment, a bitterness that festers precisely because he knows he's innocent. He's a man of intellect and pride, forced to serve those who have wronged him, and that indignity is a far heavier burden than any physical labor.
So it's not just about the physical hardship, but the profound indignity of having your identity, your very essence, redefined by an unjust system. That must be agonizing. And against this backdrop, his complex relationship with Arabella Bishop begins to unfold.
Right. She occasionally seeks him out, evincing her interest in him, bringing gifts of fruit and money to the prisoners, seemingly trying to ease his suffering.
And how does Blood react?
What's truly fascinating is Blood's reaction to this. He's still deeply resentful of his circumstances and initially mistrusts her. He can't dissociate her from the man, her uncle, Colonel Bishop, whom he considers beastly.
Understandable.
He argues that some of the remorseless cruelty of the wealthy planter must inhabit that pleasant body of hers, as if convincing some instinct that pleaded otherwise. It's almost as if he's deliberately building a wall, trying to convince himself that she too must be tainted by the system that enslaved him.
Yeah.
He avoided her when it was possible and was frigidly civil when it was not. She felt commiseration for him, which he resented, seeing it as yet another affront to his dignity rather than an act of kindness. His pride, wounded so deeply, cannot accept pity.
Despite the bitterness and his personal prison, Blood remains a doctor, and his skills become critical during a time of escalating international tension. An unexpected opportunity arises with the arrival of a wounded English ship, the Pride of Devon, after an encounter with Spanish treasure ships.
Right, bringing the war closer.
Exactly. English and Spanish wounded are brought ashore, and in a further humiliation, Blood is ordered to treat the Spaniards because of his inferior condition as a slave.
This is a pivotal moment that truly highlights Blood's unwavering principles. Colonel Bishop, seeing Blood treating a wounded Spaniard, rages at him, furious that he would waste his skills on an enemy.
And Blood's response.
His firm retort once again demonstrates his core identity. I am a doctor, Colonel Bishop. The man is wounded. It is not for me to discriminate. I keep to my trade. He's protected by Governor Steed's orders, who, despite his own prejudices, understands the practical value of keeping the wounded alive for strategic reasons. This commitment to his medical oath transcends national loyalties and even his own personal suffering.
And then, chaos truly breaks loose with the Spanish invasion of Bridgetown. It's a scene of utter pandemonium, rioting, and bloodshed.
The town is overrun.
In the midst of this, Blood, having armed himself with the dead man's sword, performs his first truly heroic act as an emerging man of action. He saves Mary Trail, a young girl, from a Spanish soldier, killing the soldier with the combined skill of swordsman and surgeon.
The swordsman comes out.
Right. It's a breathtaking demonstration of his dormant martial abilities and a clear sign of his evolving moral compass in this new, chaotic context. It's the first glimpse of the proactive hero within.
And even in this madness, his concern extends to Arabella's safety, despite his earlier resentment. He urgently compels her to flee to Spadestown, despite her initial protests about his peremptory tone.
So he still cares deep down.
Seems so. Sabatini notes his snappy mood, revealing his underlying suppressed concern for her, even if he still tries to convince himself that the assurance brought him little satisfaction. It's a complex interplay of emotions, his deeply ingrained protective instinct clashing with his injured pride and the social chasm between them. Hashtag tag 3.2. A daring escape.
This chaos is the spark that ignites a new resolve. Blood, with Jeremy Pitt, whose dulled wits were sharpening themselves anew upon this precious whetstone of hope, begins to meticulously plan their escape.
Finally a chance.
Exactly. They recruit other rebels convict, men who understand the sea, like Hagthorpe and Ogle, desperate for freedom. Even Dr. Wacker, hoping to be rid of his medical rival and perhaps earn a favor, unknowingly provides money for a boat, becoming an unwitting accomplice in Blood's escape.
The irony continues.
Right? The escape plan is laid out with precision. A wherry purchased by Nuttall, hidden stores, a ladder ready to scale the stockade, but then a cruel twist of fate, a fateful delay.
Oh no, what happens?
On the very day of the escape, Colonel Bishop, in a petty fit of spleen, prevents Blood from returning to the stockade. He orders Blood to stay at Government House to treat the governor's gout, callously telling him, "You'll not re-enter it. They may find a kennel for you there until morning."
Just pure spite. That small act of vindictiveness has devastating consequences for the plan.
That delay leads to a terrible betrayal and brutal torture. Nuttall, panicking over a surety payment and unable to find Blood, blunders into the plantation, seeking him out. He encounters Pitt, leading to their discovery by Colonel Bishop.
Disaster.
Utter disaster. Pitt, demonstrating incredible loyalty and courage, refuses to betray Blood or the estate plan. For this, he endures savage torture in the stocks under the tropical sun, his back becoming bleeding pulp from neck to waist, tormented by flies.
God, that's horrific.
Yeah.
Bishop showing his true colors.
Absolutely. It's a truly horrifying scene, designed by Bishop to break him and force him to reveal his co-conspirators.
And Blood returns to find Pitt in this ghastly state. He protects him from the elements, his fury simmering, and angrily confronts Bishop, declaring that he would forsake at once the duties of a doctor if Pitt's suffering wasn't eased.
A powerful stand.
It's a moment of profound loyalty and righteous anger from Blood, a clear sign of the bonds forming between these desperate men. But at that critical moment, fate intervenes with a chaotic godsend. A Spanish frigate, the Cinco Llagas, saluted the fort at short range with a broadside of 20 guns, invading Carlisle Bay.
The Spanish are back.
Yes, the British Jack is replaced by the gold and crimson banner of Castile. It's the ultimate distraction, providing an unexpected, utterly chaotic path to freedom for Blood and his men. Hashtag tag 3.3. Captain Blood, the pirate emerges.
It's truly a chaotic backdrop for the birth of a legend. While the Spaniards feast and ride ashore, their guard down, Blood and his men seize the moment. Stealthily and silently, they board the Cinco Llagas, a massive Spanish frigate.
Wow, talk about seizing an opportunity.
Right. They catch the half-drunken Spaniards by surprise, still celebrating their easy victory. Blood, with his past experiences and linguistic skills, speaks the purest Castilian, commanding them to surrender. In an audacious, lightning-fast move, he effectively takes the ship, a vessel larger and more powerful than any they could have dreamed of.
Incredible nerve. And the next morning, he turns the tables completely on Don Diego de Espinosa y Valdez, the Spanish admiral's brother, who foolishly comes aboard with 4 treasure chests ransom from Governor Skeed, believing his ship is secure.
He just walks right into it.
Pretty much. Blood displays his genius for these things and almost an eye for the dramatic by quietly taking Don Diego and his men prisoner. It's a masterclass in swift, decisive action and psychological warfare, completely disarming his unsuspecting foe.
What's truly satisfying from a narrative perspective is the humiliation of Colonel Bishop. From the shore, Bishop and Governor Steed watch the Spanish boats depart. Bishop initially believing Blood had recovered the treasure for him, thinking he was serving the crown.
Oh, the sweet irony.
Then he sees Blood himself in all this splendor, indulging therein his natural taste, standing victorious on the deck of the captured ship. Blood, now undeniably Captain Blood, scorns Bishop's offer of partial remission for his service, then famously orders Bishop to walk the plank. Just take a little walk, Colonel Darling.
Huh. Poetic justice indeed. Bishop's monstrous rage was fanned by terror at finding himself at the mercy of these men of whose cause to hate him he was very fully conscious.
It's an unforgettable moment of poetic justice where the enslaved master becomes the plaything of his former captive.
It's the ultimate reversal of fortune, a powerful symbol of Blood reclaiming his agency. With no other recourse, no possibility of returning to their former lives, the former convicts decide to make for Tortuga, that haven of the buccaneers.
So piracy becomes the only option.
Essentially, yes. This wasn't Blood's original intention by any means. As Pitt, his chronicler stresses, it was the circumstances, and these alone, that drove Peter Blood to seek an anchorage at Tortuga. He's not born a pirate. He's made a pirate by the very system that unjustly condemned him and offered him no other path to survival or dignity. He's an outlaw by necessity, not by choice.
So Peter Blood, the physician, is now Captain Blood, the pirate, steering a Spanish frigate towards Tortuga. His crew, consisting of his fellow escaped convicts, swore to follow him loyally whithersoever he should lead them.
They trusted him completely.
Yeah, they sought him as the only one capable of navigating their uncertain world, recognizing his inherent leadership qualities, sharp mind, and even his surprising moral compass. He was their best, perhaps only, hope for survival.
And what truly cemented his path to piracy, according to his chronicler Pitt, wasn't just survival, but the thought of Arabella Bishop, and that this thought loomed large in his mind. He was maddened by the tormenting lure of the unattainable.
Ah, her influence again.
Exactly. His outlaw status and lack of resources, coupled with a deep, unspoken desire for a life she might approve of, tragically solidified his path, driving him towards an identity he initially loathed, but found himself forced to embody.
It's the ultimate irony. The very person he wishes to impress, whose good opinion he craves, is kind of the reason he continues down this path.
Precisely.
That's a powerful and complex motivation, isn't it? It challenges the very definition of what makes a man honorable. And this brings us to what's truly fascinating here: the unique pirate's code he imposes on his crew.
Right. This is key. Blood's men are rigidly held in hand, never so debarred from the excesses of rapine and lust that were usual in their kind. This wasn't typical buccaneer behavior at all.
Not all.
He later confesses to Pitt that this strict discipline, this almost gentlemanly conduct, was done out of respect for a slip of a girl of whom he had fallen romantically enamored.
For Arabella.
For Arabella. It's fascinating because this isn't just a unique pirate's code. It's a profound statement on the nature of honor itself. If Blood is maintaining this rigid discipline, this almost gentlemanly conduct, out of respect for Arabella, does that make it less honorable? Or does it show how love, or even the idea of someone, can anchor a person's principles even in the most lawless of environments?
That's a really interesting question.
It suggests that honor can be deeply personal, even performative in a way, yet still deeply felt. It's not the abstract code of a knight, but the lived, pragmatic code of a man clinging to his self-respect and the respect of another, in a world that denies him both.
That's a critical point. It challenges our understanding of what it means to be honorable, doesn't it? Is true honor internal and unwavering, or can it be shaped or even inspired by external desires or aspirations? For Blood, it seems to be a desperate way to hold on to the man he once was, or the man he wishes to be, despite the pirate label forced upon him.
It's a defiant act of self-definition. Hashtag 4.2. Tactical brilliance and moral ambiguity. This unique blend of personal honor and outlaw status truly fuels his tactical brilliance, setting him apart from other pirates. He adopts the name Don Pedro Sangre among the Spaniards, meaning Peter Blood and Le Sang to the French. His reputation as a feared and respected pirate captain grows rapidly.
And he pulls off some amazing stunts, right?
Oh, absolutely. One incredible example of his cunning, often referred to by Sabatini fans as the filial piety trick, showcases his psychological warfare.
Ah, yes, the moment he essentially weaponized familial bonds. That was brilliant.
Exactly. When cornered by Don Diego's brother, the Spanish admiral, Blood straps Don Diego to a cannon, a truly audacious move, and threatens to fire him at the admiral's ship.
Insane.
But there's a twist. He demands that Don Diego's son, Don Esteban, convince the admiral that all is well and to let them pass. This brilliant manipulation of a father's love and a brother's duty secured their escape, demonstrating Blood's keen understanding of human nature and his flair for the dramatic in achieving his objectives.
He's not just a fighter, he's a master strategist of the mind.
Precisely.
It's truly ingenious. Another instance of his complex moral compass and the ambiguity of his actions is the ransom of Mademoiselle d'Augeron. He partners with the notoriously brutal French buccaneer Levasseur for a raid on Maracaibo.
Levasseur, yeah, a real piece of work.
But Levasseur betrays him, abandoning the original plan to pursue Mademoiselle d'Augeron, whom he captures. Blood, after being caught in a storm, fortuitously encounters Levasseur and the captured lady.
And he intervenes.
He does, not out of any pirate's code of honor among thieves, but from his own deeply personal sense of right and wrong. He pays a ransom in pearls from a previous raid to bribe a gang of scoundrels to depart from obedience to the arch-scoundrel.
Using pirate loot to uphold his own kind of justice.
Exactly. He later kills Levasseur in a duel, a scoundrel, who, in Blood's judgment, deserved what Peter gave him. Crucially, he tells Mademoiselle d'Augeron that he had not bought her and offered the payment as a friendly loan to be repaid entirely at your convenience. This act, though it solidifies his pirate status, is fundamentally driven by the desire to act honorably, hoping some echo of this deed might reach her also and be set by her against some of that contempt from Arabella. He's performing his honor, in a way, for an audience of one, hashtag 4.3, Cartagena and the Scoundrel Rivarol.
The narrative takes another turn when Blood and his men join the French service under Sieur de Rivarol, the general of the King's armies in America. Blood desperately wants to escape the pirate label, hoping for regular and honorable service, a chance to shed his outcast identity and gain legitimacy.
A path back to respectability.
That's the hope. But he quickly clashes with Rivarol's opportunistic principles. Blood realizes Rivarol is far more interested in plundering, thieving raids for personal gain, like those on Maracaibo and Cartagena, rather than serving any greater strategic purpose.
So not exactly honorable service.
It's not at all. Despite his own pirate status, Blood challenges Rivarol's strategy, demonstrating his superior tactical knowledge of Cartagena's defenses. He had gained this knowledge from a previous reconnaissance mission, disguised as an Indian, during which he discovered the shoal water for over half a mile out, making a direct sea assault impractical for larger ships.
So he knew the terrain better than the French general.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
His intellect is clearly far beyond Rivarol's.
His tactical brilliance is on full display in the raid on Maracaibo. To deceive the Spanish admiral Don Miguel, Blood executes a clever feint, a masterclass in misdirection.
Tell us about that.
He uses empty piraguas, small maneuverable boats, repeatedly landing men and guns on Palomas Island. This creates the illusion of a massive land assault, convincing the Spaniards that the main attack will come from the landward side. This forces them to shift their powerful guns to the landward defenses, leaving the sea approach dangerously vulnerable for Blood's real attack. It's a truly ingenious deception, making the impossible seem possible, and demonstrating that he doesn't just see the battle, he sees the minds of the men fighting it.
But then comes Rivarol's inevitable betrayal. Disgusted by Blood's honor and superior intellect, Rivarol absconds with the lion's share of the treasure he had promised to share after the successful raid on Cartagena.
Betrayed again.
Yes, this betrayal crushes Blood, forcing him back into piracy, much to his chagrin and despair. He groans, "Oh God, I had thought to have done with piracy, thought to have done of it forever, yet here have I been committed by this scoundrel to the worst piracy that ever I was guilty of."
That's rough.
His despair leads to a truly provocative conclusion. "If I am to live clean, I believe the only thing is to go and offer my sword to the King of Spain."
Wow. Offer his sword to the enemy.
It's the ultimate statement of his moral conundrum if England and France offer only betrayal. Perhaps his sworn enemy offers the only path to a clean conscience.
Now, let's turn our attention back to the English connection and the enduring enmity of Colonel Bishop. Bishop, now the deputy governor of Jamaica, harbors an intense, burning hatred for Blood, actively hunting him across the Caribbean.
He just can't let it go.
Not at all. He's described as a hard, unforgiving man whose move to Jamaica was motivated by nothing but the hope of taking and hanging Captain Blood. His personal vendetta is unyielding, a festering wound from his own humiliation.
Meanwhile, a significant player emerges. Lord Julian Wade, a kinsman of Lord Sunderland, who was Secretary of State for King James in England. Lord Julian is dispatched to the Caribbean with blank commissions to enlist privateers and buccaneers, including Blood, against Spain, as European conflicts begin to spill over into the colonies.
So the English actually want Blood's help now.
Well, they want his skills anyway. Lord Julian becomes quite close to Arabella Bishop, who, still reflecting public sentiment and her uncle's prejudice, expresses her initial scorn for Blood, calling him a murderer and thief and pirate, citing, for instance, the death of Levasseur, which she perceives as an act of pure villainy.
But Lord Julian's perspective begins to subtly, yet significantly shift. As he observes Blood in action, perhaps hears stories, he witnesses Blood's inherent honor and strategic genius, particularly in naval combat.
He sees the reality behind the reputation.
Exactly. He starts to question Arabella's harsh judgment, noting Blood's courage, resource, and invention. Lord Julian, a keen observer of men and warfare, recognizes Blood's immense value for the King's Navy, seeing past the pirate label to the true commander beneath, a leader who could be invaluable to the crown. Hashtag 5.2. The naval engagement and a refused pardon.
This growing recognition culminates in a desperate naval engagement. Blood's ship, the Arabella, a vessel almost personified by Blood's own spirit, is separated from the rest of his fleet.
The Arabella. Named after, well,
Indeed. She encounters Don Miguel de Espinosa's Spanish warships, the Milagrosa and Hidalga, which have captured Lord Julian and Arabella after sinking the Royal Mary.
Oh no! So Arabella and Lord Julian are captives of the Spanish.
Yes, and Don Miguel, fueled by rage against English heretic dogs and pirates like Blood, treats his English prisoners with utter contempt. The stakes are incredibly high, both personally and strategically.
In this seemingly impossible situation, Blood executes a brilliant, almost unthinkable maneuver. He steers the Arabella directly between the two massive Spanish ships at point-blank range, firing devastating broadsides simultaneously into both.
That takes guts. Serious guts.
It's a breathtaking display of seamanship and courage, a high-risk, high-reward strategy. He then grapples the Milagrosa, his men boarding her in a desperate hand-to-hand fight, ultimately saving both Lord Julian and Arabella.
He rescues them.
He does. It's a true last fight of the Arabella before she is scuttled, almost as if she was a part of Blood himself, giving her last breath to secure his victory.
Despite their personal history and Don Miguel's cruelty, Blood chooses a path that further complicates his pirate identity. He releases the defeated Spanish admiral, providing him boats and passage to Hispaniola.
He lets him go. After everything.
Yep. I am a damn pirate myself, and so I am merciful with my kind, he states, dismissing Lord Julian's indignation that he should be so generous to an enemy. He adds pointedly, I am not in the service of England or of any nation, sir.
Wow. Sticking to his own code.
Absolutely. This act of mercy, paradoxically, solidifies his unique individual code of honor, demonstrating that his justice is his own, not bound by flags or crowns.
Lord Julian, deeply impressed by Blood's heroism and his singular code, immediately offers him a commission in King James's service, promising redemption of what was past. It's an olive branch, a path to legitimacy.
And blood.
He flatly refuses, his bitterness still raw. I wouldn't be soiling my hands with a thief and pirate's hands though they be. Thief and pirate is what you heard Miss Bishop call me today, a thing of scorn and outcast. And who made me that? Who made me thief and pirate?
Oof. Throwing her words back.
Absolutely. His resentment runs deep. He refuses to be redeemed by the very system that unjustly condemned him and forced him into this life. It's a powerful act of defiance, clinging to his self-respect even at great cost.
Arabella, upon hearing Lord Julian's recounting of Blood's rejection and those cutting words, begins to feel a profound, growing regret. Lord Julian notes, your words have rankled with him. He threw them at me again and again.
So she starts to see.
Yeah, she starts to truly understand the depth of the wound she inflicted. She reveals her fear for Blood, understanding his extreme vulnerability in Jamaica, especially with her vindictive uncle, Bishop, in command. Her perception of him, once clouded by prejudice and rumor, is finally beginning to crack under the weight of truth. Hashtag 5.3. The shifting political landscape and a hostage play.
The political landscape in Europe drastically shifts, directly impacting Blood's fate in the Caribbean. Colonel Bishop, learning of Blood's presence in Port Royal with the King's Commission, sees it not as a reprieve for Blood, but as a grievance and unmasked hostility to his own authority.
He just can't stand Blood having any legitimacy.
Exactly. He is absolutely determined to hang this rascal. Blood, realizing he is trapped, initially plays along, feigning acceptance of the commission.
Then, earth-shattering news from Europe reaches Jamaica. Louis XIV's war has begun, civil war has broken out in England, King James has fled to France, and William of Orange has accepted the English crown.
The glorious revolution.
Precisely. England is now officially at war with France. This is a monumental turning point, a complete upheaval of allegiances and power structures across the globe, including the colonies.
And Colonel Bishop, still fiercely loyal to the deposed King James, makes a catastrophic decision. He abandons his post as Deputy Governor of Jamaica, taking the entire Jamaica fleet with him.
He deserts, just leaves Jamaica defenseless.
Pretty much. This act, likely intended to serve the exiled King James, leaves Port Royal utterly vulnerable to French attack. It's a dereliction of duty that exposes the entire colony to disaster, all for a misplaced loyalty.
It is a desperate situation, but Blood, ever the strategist, makes a desperate yet brilliant gamble. To ensure his own crew's safety and prevent mutiny, as some like Ogle wanted to surrender to Bishop for ransom, Blood takes both Colonel Bishop and Lord Julian Wade hostage.
He takes them hostage, wow.
Yeah, he forces Bishop, under duress, to write orders ensuring the Arabella's safe departure. He even threatens to take Lord Julian as a hostage, ensuring he delivers the message to the remaining English forces. Your only hope, Colonel, he tells Bishop, lies in the fact that I shall send them word of that intention.
A tactical masterstroke.
Absolutely. Not just to escape immediate danger, but to maintain control of his volatile crew and secure their temporary freedom. He exploits the chaos to his advantage, using his quick wit and audacity once more.
And just when it seems all hope is lost, the tides truly turn in Blood's favor. Admiral van der Kuylen, a Dutch ally of William of Orange, and Lord Willoughby arrive at Port Royal to find it undefended, abandoned by Bishop's desertion.
They walk into a mess.
They do. They quickly learn of Rivarol's impending French attack, leaving them in a dire predicament.
And who appears on the horizon? Captain Blood. Sailing nearby, he is drawn by the sound of guns. He comes across the Dutch fleet engaged in a desperate battle with Rivarol's French fleet.
So he stumbles right into it.
Right. Without hesitation, despite his outlaw status, despite being labeled a pirate by the very nation he is about to save, he engages the French. He demonstrates extraordinary resource and valor, turning the tide of the battle and saving both the English and Dutch forces from certain defeat.
Incredible. He saves the day.
Completely. Lord Willoughby, witnessing this impossible feat, confesses, "Never before have I seen the impossible made possible." It's a moment where sheer competence and inherent honor transcend all previous labels.
It's an incredible testament to his unparalleled skill and courage. And what's truly fascinating here is the immediate recognition of his genius. Admiral van der Cullen and Lord Willoughby, men of power and authority, recognize Blood's unparalleled tactical brilliance and leadership.
To see what he's capable of.
Exactly. They waste no time offering him the governorship of Jamaica in King William's name, declaring him a better man than Morgan, and Morgan was made governor.
Governor Blood. From pirate to governor.
Can you believe it? Blood naturally is a trifle dazzled by the honor, and in a moment of humility is assailed by doubts of his capacity.
But Willoughby, ever the pragmatist, famously admonishes him, cutting through his doubts with a touch of humor. Your duty lies here, at least for as long as the war lasts. When the war is over, you may get back to Somerset and cider, or your native Ireland and its poteen, but until then you'll make the best of Jamaica and rum.
Ha! Love that line.
It's the ultimate irony and redemption. The man unjustly condemned and forced into piracy now offered the highest legitimate authority, all because of the very skills he honed as an outlaw. Hashtag 6.2. Justice, reconciliation, and a poetic end.
He accepts, and with King James's downfall, his outlawry finally ends. Peter Blood, the condemned physician, is now His Excellency the Deputy Governor of Jamaica. He immediately sets about fortifying Port Royal and reorganizing the fleet.
Stepping right into the role.
He does, and he demonstrates his fair and just leadership by giving his buccaneers a fifth of the captured treasure, and then, in an act of profound trust and respect, offers them a choice: depart with their shares or join King William's legitimate service. He gives them the choice that was once denied to him.
That's significant. This brings us to the final, and as van der Cullen notes, most poetical confrontation. Colonel Bishop, completely unaware of the political upheaval, returns to Jamaica, expecting to reclaim his post and perhaps finally exact his revenge on Blood.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Instead, he finds Peter Blood, his former slave, standing before him as His Excellency the Deputy Governor of Jamaica. Bishop is paralyzed by amazement, a complete reversal of fortunes that must have felt like a phantom limb.
The look on his face must have been priceless.
Absolutely. Blood, who was once in a position where Bishop could have hung him from his own yardarm, is now in command, able to deal with him as you think proper. It's the ultimate triumph of justice.
And finally, the long-awaited, deeply significant reconciliation with Arabella. Having heard Lord Julian's full, unbiased account of Blood's honor and his deep concern for her safety during the naval engagement, and having reflected on her uncle's vindictiveness, such vindictiveness can belong only to those who have wronged.
She finally sees the truth.
Yes, Arabella finally realizes her error and her injustice. She truly understands the depth of his character and the truth of his predicament. She seeks Blood out, expressing deep sorrow. "I have said that I am sorry, won't you? Won't you say goodbye?" she asks, extending her hand.
A huge moment for her.
Massive. Blood takes it, and though initially he still finds it a trifle hard to forgive her for calling him thief and pirate, she clarifies that Lord Julian had relayed Blood's message, the one he had tried to suppress. Her words resonate deeply. "It touched me very deeply. It made me see clearly my error and my injustice. I owe it to you that I should say this by way of amend. I judged too harshly where it was a presumption to judge at all."
Wow, that's a proper apology.
It really is. This profound apology, this recognition of his true character and her own misjudgment, finally resolves their complex relationship, a powerful symbol of forgiveness and redemption. The deep dive leaves them, hand in hand, hinting at their union, a fitting end to an extraordinary odyssey. #outro. What an incredible, winding journey we've taken with Peter Blood. From a respected, detached physician to a shackled slave, a defiant pirate captain with a surprising, unwavering code of honor, and finally to the legitimate governor of Jamaica.
Just an amazing arc.
His story is a powerful testament to personal honor, the strength required to adapt to impossible circumstances, and the profound journey of finding redemption through courage and principle, even when others label you an outcast.
We've seen how systemic injustice can be a devastating catalyst for extraordinary transformation, forcing individuals to forge their own path to honor, even if it means embracing a temporary outlaw status. Blood's Odyssey reminds us that a person's true character often shines brightest under the harshest pressures, and that definitions of pirate and gentleman can be far more fluid and complex than history or societal labels often suggest. He was a physician who became a pirate, and then a governor, without ever truly abandoning the core principles of the man he was.
So, what does this all mean for us here and now? In a world where information spreads like wildfire and reputations can be made or broken in an instant, how often do we, like Arabella Bishop, judge too quickly, forming opinions based on incomplete narratives or convenient labels?
That's a good question.
And how many Captain Bloods are out there whose true honor and complex motivations are obscured by the titles thrust upon them by circumstance or by the snap judgments of others? It truly makes you wonder about the layers beneath the surface of every story, doesn't it? Something to ponder as you navigate your own deep dives.